Hello, and welcome to the Liberator Method Class 1, Perspective and Principle. My name is Rhonda Christensen. The Liberator Method is a mind-body-spirit awakening strategy that will liberate you from anything that is holding you back from expressing and being your authentic, genuine self. My mission is to empower you as you move through this awakening process, to encourage and guide you as you open your eyes to consciously behold the awe-inspiring wholeness that you are, and to let go of the agreements and beliefs that are keeping you from realizing this about yourself. With this brief introduction, I warmly invite you to experience the Liberator Method. Now let's move into Class 1, Perspective and Principle. To begin with, I'd like to acknowledge that we are constantly creating and sustaining the nature of our experiences through the words that we speak and the meanings that we associate with those words. I have a great deal more to say about this in later classes, but for the time being, please consider the suggestion that attention to your words will reveal how you are creating and sustaining your experience. It will prove to be a valuable resource that will support your awakening. To simplify clear communication between us, I begin by defining a few of the terms I use regularly. First, when I use the word fundamental, I am referring to that which cannot be removed, separated, or further reduced. I am referring to the bottom line. Next, I define the word consciousness as another way of expressing the enduring spiritual teaching, know thyself. Consciousness is often referred to as awareness. It is internal understanding and self-wisdom. When I use the word logic, I am referring to the science of pure reasoning. Logic is a compelling power by which certain causes have certain results inherent upon guiding principles. And finally, when I use the word literal, I mean the primary, true-to-fact meaning of a word or words, not metaphorical nor exaggerated. For example, when I was a young girl, my mother used to say to me, "Rhonda, hold your horses." And what she meant was, "Rhonda, be patient." The first time I used this same phrase with my own young daughter, she looked at me, completely confused, and stated, "But Mom, I don't have any horses." She accepted the literal meaning of my words. I encourage attentiveness to this literal meaning in my method. You'll understand why in later classes. Now let's move on to perspective. Martin Luther King stated, "Man must evolve for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation for such a method is love." The Liberator Method is founded on the principle of love. To state it more accurately, the Liberator Method is founded on the assumption that pure love is the very essence of who you are. Love is not a tangible thing. It is the no-thingness of which you are made. The Liberator Method begins with 3 assumptions. Assumption number 1, I am a spiritual being having a human experience. In other words, I am a spirit being experiencing and expressing myself in human form. Assumption number 2, my fundamental nature, and the fundamental nature of every human being, is unconditional love and creative power. In short, my nature is divine. And assumption number 3, the purpose of my human experience is to come to consciously know myself as the divinity that I am, to know myself as thyself. The question that naturally follows this spiritual perspective is, what purpose would the human experience serve to a divine being? I suggest the human experience provides us, developing divinity, with the opportunity to put into practice and manipulate the principles of intention and creation. The goal is the mastery of these principles, by which we will become aware and conscious of who we are. The process will result, without exception, in the eventual self-mastery, consciousness, and enlightenment of every individual. I've named this perspective the Ascension dimension. Progression in this realm is not visible to untrained eyes. However, as you express willingness to open your eyes and commit yourself to the pursuit of consciousness, your vision will become refined. The ascension dimension is in operation regardless of your awareness or acknowledgement of its existence. An unyielding, steadfast, yet gracious master, this dimension operates by a set of principles that gradually sculpt us, body, mind, and spirit, to self-mastery. Self-mastery is experienced as sustained, unconditional love and pure creative intent, made possible by the realization and awareness that this has been your fundamental nature all along. I've intentionally used the metaphor of water as the background for the ascension dimension. H2O, which is the elemental designation of water, can express itself through a variety of form in the physical world. In its most unyielding form, we experience it as ice. Its more flowing, yielding form is experienced as water. And finally, its most expansive, energetic state of being is experienced as steam. So it is with divinity expressing itself in human form through each and every one of us. As we ascend in self-awareness and enlightenment, we will experience ourselves transforming from unyielding states of being to flowing, and finally to expansive. As you commit yourself to the awakening process, I'm not asking you to believe these assumptions. I am, however, asking you to consciously choose to suspend disbelief and open yourself to the possibility of these three primary assumptions. I am a divine being having a human experience. My fundamental nature is unconditional love and creative power. My purpose is to know myself as thyself. As you demonstrate willingness to consider yourself and any situation from this perspective, I will assist you in seeing yourself as an innocent, developing creator in embryo. This awareness brings about a profound paradigm shift that will greatly enhance your ability to perceive yourself from within, to observe your experience, and to accurately assess your part and personal accountability as the creator and sustainer of your own experience. You will be, for the first time, empowered to choose differently. You are the author and/or co-creator of your experience. Knowing the principles of spirit and recognizing that all human beings are aiming to master the same educational process, I suggest that each of us chose our specific course of learning prior to entering human form. We have been conditioned by our early experience, as well as equipped with the tools that we will need to succeed in our adventure. As you choose to see yourself as an unconditionally loving being, willing to define your creative power of intention through experimentation in the physical realm, you will come to see that all along you've been operating under contracts, decisions authored and/or agreed to by you. Asking yourself the questions, why would my soul have chosen or agreed to this experience? In other words, what was my soul wanting to learn? And how is this experience serving me in the pursuit of conscious awareness? Will call forth answers from deep, still spaces within you. You will begin to truly know thyself. The Liberator method proclaims that every human being possesses a soul of absolute integrity. By this, I mean your body, mind, and spirit are literally bound in integrity, as one, to deep-seated spiritual contracts, agreements in the form of solidified judgments, beliefs, or decisions. As spiritual beings experiencing ourselves in human form, our purpose is to evolve in consciousness, to stop misjudging our innocence as guilt, and realize ourselves as the empowered, creative, pure love that we are and always have been. In the case of unnecessary human suffering, it is this sure knowledge that is lacking. The Liberator method will illuminate the fact that you are indeed living on purpose. In every moment, you are on purpose. Your existence here in the physical realm implies that you have willingly chosen and engaged yourself in the process. You now have the opportunity to own that choice and begin to be who you already are. Finally, let's look at the fundamental principles of the Liberator method. Number 1, The issue is not what it appears to be. What we've learned to call the issue is actually the manifested form or physical symptom of a judgment made about ourselves that has succeeded in gaining our negative attention. Viktor Frankl stated, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space, we are free to choose. Stimulus, response." The problem is, most of us are no longer aware that a space even exists between the two, let alone aware of the decisions that we've made about ourselves that are now habitually operating in that space. When we lose that space, when that gap closes, we lose our sense of responsibility or the ability to respond differently. The good news is, it's reversible. The second principle, you are free to choose. Once a behavior has become a habit and that inner space is no longer experienced, you simply need to reopen the space again to reclaim your ability to respond differently. Stimulus, space, response. How do we do this? Principle number 3, stay present with your reactionary experience when you are triggered. In this case, the stimulus is the trigger. The reaction is the autonomic response. Observe what occurs in your mind and your body very closely. Watch your thoughts, feelings, and sensations, and allow the energy to flow through you without resisting, attaching, or judging the aspects of your experience. In other words, don't make it mean anything. As I assist you in accepting yourself and the experience that is moving through you from the perspective of unconditional love, you will begin to become closely acquainted with your process. This will open the space that will enable you to see the component parts and will reveal any decisions or judgments that are out of alignment with your conscious goals. You will be able, for the first time, to consciously choose differently, which will change the fundamental anatomy and nature of your experience. Before I conclude, I'd like to go through a quick review. Let's look at the 3 primary assumptions first. I am a divine being having a human experience. My fundamental nature is unconditional love and pure creative power. My purpose is to know myself as thyself. Now the principles. Number 1, the issue I am experiencing is not the issue. It is merely the symptom of the issue expressing itself. The issue is the judgment or decision that is operating undiscovered in the space between the stimulus and the response. When the judgments and decisions I've made in that space are revealed to me, I will fully understand my previous response, as well as my role and power as creator and sustainer of the experience. Number 2, in the space, I am free to choose. And number 3, by remaining present to and observing my experience without resistance, attachment, or judgment, I create the space to choose differently. Albert Einstein stated, "There are 2 ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle." As you begin to sustain your perspective of yourself as an unconditionally loving, creative being and apply the Liberator Method's principles to your experience, you will produce profound, empowering, positive shifts in your life. You will begin to experience yourself as the miracle. I eagerly look forward to being with you on this amazing journey of awakening. Thank you.